and EJ's backup because he says everything is good. He doesn't want any changes on this car. He is taking red tires and he is pulling out of pit lane.
And Lindy, what you saw from both those two cars, they decided to start the race on primaries that are not as fast. The idea is run the minimum number of laps that you can, come in, get rid of them. Now for the rest of the race, you've got the racier tires and you're on the early pit strategy.
So Tony Kanaan rejoins the field after making the pit stop. Meanwhile, up front, it is still Will Power showing the way with a rather comfortable lead at the moment over Graham Rahal.
Sato to the inside of Danica Patrick.
At turn number 3 has been the area so far where we have seen the passing, or most of it. That's Marco Andretti ahead of Sato and Patrick and Sebastian Saavedra in the yellow and red colors. And right behind him, as Oriol Serbia now makes a pit stop. So several drivers are getting into the pits right after that pit window opens. Marty.
Bob, part of the strategy that Yanni just talked about. The blacks come off, the reds go on. Brand new sticker red tires. You also see Marco Andretti leaving pit road as well. Oriol Serbia pitting a little bit early. All these guys who pit early have to get to lap at least 42 to be able to make it to the end of the race and make it a two-stop race. Marco leaving pit road now, Bob.
We see Sebastian Bourdais still on pit lane as they're trying to get the gearbox on that car sorted out. Marco Andretti rejoins the race. And right behind him is Thomas Scheckter. Meanwhile, here's Mike Conway and Charlie Kimball as they're continuing to battle it out. That is the battle for 12th position.
So Conway's obviously struggling here.
Yep. It's a great shot in it.
Pit now.
And there's Conway peeling off.
Martin Plowman followed him in. A lot of people going on this early strategy.
There's Plowman in the number 17 car.
Okay, come around 4 days. Keep coming. Keep coming. Right around 4 days right now.
Marty.
And as you guys have mentioned, a lot of guys coming on this early strategy, but this is the first of the cars to take off red tires and put on the normal blacks, and they're going to head back down pit road. Conway very, very loose on the track. They made a wing and an air pressure adjustment. Kevin, Helio Castroneves is in.
Yeah, he's going to take the early strategy, and he's going to be a 3-stop race for Helio Castroneves, and he comes out just in front of Danica Patrick. This is a tough exit on pit lane, but no issues there. Castroneves comes in early, hoping for some clean track and hoping for a caution.
And Kevin, for Castroneves, he should, if the fuel economy, remember, a lot of these teams are flying blind because they got very few laps because of that big accident in the warm-up to get a read on race day fuel economy. But Castroneves should be able to, if the figures work out, to do it in one more stop.
14 out of 75 laps completed.
Oh.
Let's look for the pass here as TK goes to the inside of Danica and makes the pass. Tony Kanaan picks up a spot.
And that was typically what we talked about. Turn 1, we see that, and we'll see more of that as these get in there and locking up the front tires. It's tough. You can't do anything. You can't turn the car. You've got to get the car under control. So it's a great place to pass somebody.
Watching action here at the back of the field amongst those who have already pitted. Tony Kanaan just went to 24th, getting around Danica Patrick. And right behind Danica is her teammate, Marco Andretti. Well, so far, no major issues here in this race. Will Power has been in command since the drop of the green flag. Graham Rahal is running in second spot, but before this race, a lot of enthusiasm among the fans and the drivers for the Baltimore Grand Prix. It's the IZOD IndyCar Series in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix, and they're bouncing off the curbs here in the streets of this city. Great overhead view. The inner harbor, and not too far away is the Oriole Park at Camden Yards. There it is off in the distance. Just a great venue for an IZOD IndyCar Series race, and we are 17 laps into this 75-lap event. There is Will Power, the leader of the race, and he is still leading Graham Rahal, but Graham has really not let him get out of his sights very much.
He may have even gained up a little bit on there, Marty.
And guys, real quick, Sebastian Bourdais, it's an electrical problem for him. He's sitting on pit road. They do expect him to get back out there. And if you'll notice, the leaders here have caught lap traffic. They may force him to pit road a little bit earlier than they wanted, Kevin.
James Hinchcliffe just reported that he has a gearbox issue. The team told him, hang on to it, do the best you can. We'll talk about it if and when we get a yellow. He replied back, I'm driving a piece of my anatomy off right now. He's just trying to hang on. And right now, he is having a lot of difficulty on course, but he's not losing any positions.
And Hinchcliffe is involved in a torrid battle for Rookie of the Year honors. He is just 3 behind J.R. Hildebrand. And Hinchcliffe missed one race. There is Hildebrand in the National Guard car. He is leader of the Rookie of the Year point standings, but Hinchcliffe is within 3, and Hinchcliffe missed the first race of the year at St. Petersburg. Second place finisher at the Indianapolis 500. Down into turn 1.
Of course, J.R. Hildebrand in the warm-up tried to test a passing maneuver into turn number 1 that did not go well, ended up blocking the entire track. So he at least learned that lesson in the warm-up, and he's been clean so far today.
Ran into the back of Simona De Silvestro in the warm-up. James Jakes also had to come to a stop, blocking the entire track and essentially closing down the half-hour warm-up period that we had earlier today. J.R. Hildebrand running in the 13th position. And Marty is with Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, he climbed out of the car. It looked like for a while they were going to be able to fix it. What happened?
We don't have any gearbox control anymore. The wire that gives the power to the GCU is cut somewhere. I smelled something burning in the car, and I thought it was Briscoe ahead of me, but no, it was my car, and 3 corners later there was no gearbox anymore.
So disappointing for these guys who expected a top 5 finish today, but they are indeed out of it. The leaders in that traffic we talked about, Bob.
Yeah, Will Power has been behind Marco Andretti now for several laps.
Yeah, this is where Rahal can make up a lot of, and he has, make up a lot of ground. This is what he was waiting for, is just to hold up Power a little bit. So, boy, he raced about 3 or 4 seconds.
With the overtake, you get a good run. Let's take advantage of it. Carpenter right in front of these 2 cars.
Yeah, so this, I mean, and you got this is go for it, man. I mean, this is your best opportunity to try to get the lead. So, well, if you can find an opening and use that slower traffic, Rahal's he's gonna take a look.
And that's Tim Keene on the radio has been telling him, use that. Don't be afraid to use the overtake here. You've got a chance to get the lead. Let's take advantage of it.
Oh, he's in a good spot right here too. If he can stay with them and get down into turn 1, he may be able to try to move down the inside and make an outbreaking maneuver. Nope.
Not going to be close enough
too.
this time.
He was almost there.
Yep.
But they're approaching turn number 3, which is where he lost the lead. And here comes Will.
He's passing Marco Andretti, putting a lap on him.
See, what he doesn't want, and what Rahal doesn't want now is for the slower cars to become an issue with him.
Right.
And Marco Andretti, the way it works is that Marco Andretti is allowed to fight to stay on the lead lap. But once you go down a lap, as he's done now, typically he'll give room to the rest of the cars. And Rahal takes the opportunity to pit.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea. Especially if Power gets held up a little bit.
Is Power in too?
Okay, let's just focus on hitting your
Don't think so.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
They
Yes,
both
he is.
decided to.
Yep. So first and second pitting at the same time. Will is way down at pit exit. Marty.
And Bob, that's what we were talking about. The leaders or those lap cars were holding him up so much it was time to pit. No changes to the chassis. It'll be sticker black tires for Graham Rahal. Kevin.
Will Power in and out. He has that first pit stall. He was really concerned about pitting under green, though. but he's easily going to beat Graham Rahal back out on the course. Looked like a real quick stop for Power in the 12 team.
Well, he lost a lot of ground, too. Wherever he lost it, as soon as he hit pit lane, he lost a lot of ground to the leader.
Look out for Viso. Viso has hot tires. Ooh, that's the fastest corner on the racetrack at 1:45 right there.
Viso has not pitted. He's running in 6th position. Dario Franchitti is the leader of the race, but he too has not made his pit stop. 21 laps have been completed. He's through turn number 3.
That shows you the advantage of being at pit out, but you also saw for Graham Rahal when they went to disconnect the fuel, it wasn't much. It was just enough where they lost a slight bit of time with that pit stop.
And here comes Dario. Franchitti also makes a pit stop.
He really had to pit because when you have the 2 leaders in front on that strategy, you don't want to get caught by yellow. That forces his hand.
Kevin Lee headed toward you.
Dario Franchitti took over the lead. When the top 2 pitted, he will come in. And then coming right around him in a moment, we'll see Ryan Briscoe. He's not going to come in this time. He's going to wait one more lap. Here's Franchitti. He's going to get out 7.5 seconds for Franchitti as the leaders go by. There you see him try to tuck in behind Graham Rahal.
And now we'll fall in behind E.J. Viso.
So that's bonus Graham Rahal. He gets a car in between.
Ryan Briscoe takes over the lead of the race, looking for a pit stop soon.
Look at this group.
Yeah. Here's Briscoe, the leader.
And I think maybe Briscoe stays out, takes a risk. He's got, as long as you have clear track, stay out, I think.
Lindy.
Takuma Sato's crew was laid out once before, but as soon as Jimmy Vasser saw that everyone was coming in, or a lot of people, to go off strategy, at the last second he changed his mind, said Sato stay out, pulled his crew back in. He wants to keep them with what the leaders are doing, and he is now back out, and they just keep telling him to push, push, push.
Sato, of course, another one of those who started at the rear of the field because although he had a really good qualifying effort yesterday, as Ryan Briscoe hits pit lane, his top 2 speeds were taken away because he forced a full course caution during qualifying yesterday. Ryan Briscoe is on pit lane.
50 miles an hour is the pit lane speed because of how cramped it is. He will get rowed down in here. He's near pit out. He's going to have a clean entry and a clean exit. Roger Penske talks to him on the radio. He will watch and listen to Penske, different than the way most teams do it. Going to the black primary tires, and Briscoe is out and away. And let's see where he can cycle in regards to Franchitti.
7-second pit stop for Ryan Briscoe. There is Power. There is Briscoe.
And Jakes.
And James Jakes. So Ryan Hunter-Reay now shown as the leader of the race. He would be the final one.
Now they were set up for Ryan Hunter-Reay. You can see that in the background.
When he pits, it's going to give the lead back to Will Power. And we understand that Power missed the chicane. Yes, he did.
So what they do now, Bob, because there was no one in contention, he doesn't have to give a place back, but he can't go faster on that lap. Sometime from here, he has to give up enough time so when the stewards look at his lap times, it has to be slower. He has to give that up or they'll give him a penalty. And right there, he got on the brakes early. So he just gave back what he lost in the chicane. Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And now the pit cycle is almost complete. Ryan Hunter-Reay making his stop for Andretti Autosport. Just about a 7.5-second pit stop, and Ryan Hunter-Reay back in contention.
You can use as much fuel as you want. We're good.
You gotta love that. When they call you on the radio, say you can use all the fuel you want. That is what you want. That you get on a racetrack that's aggressive and stand on it.
Here once again is Power. Now taking back the lead of the race. And you see Graham Rahal right behind him by about 4 seconds, it would appear, maybe even more than that. So 24 of the 75 laps completed, almost a third of the way through this race already here in the streets of Baltimore.
And I go got a lot in common. Really? You're tied to a chair, and I'm here with a gun in my hand. Hello? I knew I'd find him. He's like a father to you, right? You don't do this as a dead man.
Danny's gonna come back for me. And when he does, he's your worst nightmare.
Now the gloves are off. Right, let's finish this.
What are you doing? Let me get my watch back.
Killer Elite, rated R, starts September 23rd.
100 years of racing. To appreciate what that means, you need to start back in 1911, the inaugural Indianapolis 500-mile race. Ray Haroon won that year, and as he crossed the finish line that day on his Firestone tires, he surely had no idea what he was starting. A legacy of guts, grit, and determination on big tracks and small, famous tracks, and those not so famous. We raced, and we raced to win. Anywhere, any place, anytime. And over the years, as the cars got faster and the crowds grew bigger, a century passed. A century of building on the things we learned, of helping great men and women do great things. And still, it goes on. Because you see, just like old Ray would tell you, or Mario, or Al, Sam, or Elio, once you get that checkered flag fever, you can't shake it. You can only feed it. So what does it all mean? Looking back, it's pretty clear. Even after a century, there really is no finish line. Firestone, celebrating 100 years of racing.
Look at Martin Plowman going over the curbs here. Wow, that car almost all four off the ground as he tried to negotiate the chicane here at Baltimore with Elio Castroneves right behind him. Well, Saturday, college football returns to Versus. First, number 14, TCU takes on Air Force, followed by Utah at number 25, USC. College football on Versus. Every game means everything. A 4-second lead for Will Power over Graham Rahal and a 9-second advantage over Dario Franchitti. Here's Robin Miller.
You know, Bobby, before the race started, I thought the one downfall for Graham Rahal might be his pit stops compared to Penske's. He was 2 seconds behind the whole first 25 laps. As soon as they go in the pits, he's down 4 seconds. He loses 2 seconds every time they pit. He's toast. And him and Will Power were both pulling away from Franchitti, and they still are. Will and Dario trading fast laps every other lap, but his downfall may be the pit stops.
That would appear as if it were the case, because the interval is now about 4 seconds between first and second.
We did see earlier that traffic can just erase a gap like that. And Will Power cleanly got by Ed Carpenter, but there's more traffic to come, and that certainly could be something that will throw a wrench in the works for these leaders.
Power slow down because he missed the chicane, so make sure we don't miss the chicane. He's got to back off about 4.
There is Scott Dixon and Simona De Silvestro battling for 6th. Simona in green and white has 6th.
And that, of course, Bob, was Graham Rahal's radio, and they don't think that Will Power has given up enough from the time that we saw him miss the chicane. Now, of course, that's from Graham Rahal's crew standpoint.
There you see Mike Conway coming out of pit lane. Oh, and Giorgio Pantano going to the outside.
Shot.
On exit, here's the problem with Mike Conway.
Is that a gun or was it the... Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of time.
Even shut the engine down.
That's an eternity.
It looks okay back there, so give it a shot. See what we got.
Had to refire it, too.
Yeah, you know, he said, it looks okay back there. Let's give it a shot. I wonder if he had some contact.
Must have hit something.
And maybe that's why there was trouble getting it off, because they certainly did not seem like they were in a hurry there. There was something they were trying to overcome.
Right. Yeah, it didn't look like it was a regular pit stop.
Go ahead, get your tire pressures up there. See if your tire pressures. Give it another lap, see what we can do. Hang on.
Well, what happened on the stop, guys, they couldn't get the lug nut off the right rear tire. That was what was going on there. But they said the car is just bottoming out now for no reason. They have not had a problem with the car bottoming out all weekend long, but now it's bottoming out. And he says bottoming out so bad he can't even get the tires up to temperatures. Kevin?
Power is essentially serving a 3-second penalty. He was told by Tim Cindric, you need to run a lap at 85. That's a little more than 3 seconds slower than what he's been running because he went through that chicane. So that's how that's dealt with. He just had to give up that gap that he had on Graham Rahal.
Well, I was wondering how they were going to do that.
Yeah.
And